What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Tea Talk, where it is you plus me plus a lovely cup of tea. Today, we are back with another episode. If you guys are new here, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Nala Asa Shakur, also known as Tyler A. Norman. I am the author of the book Love Starts Here, which is your journey of learning what the energy of love is, learning the frequency of love, and how that truly manifests in our lives, and how our inner world reflects our outer world, how everything is just a reflection of us, a reflection of what vibration we are in, or whether we are in love or in fear. So if you guys want to know more about that book, check it out, read it. I'll link that down below. I appreciate all the support with that book. This is my first time author, so yes, like I said, I'll link that down below. I'm also the owner and the CEO of The All Natural, which is your one-stop holistic health shop where we provide all your needs for a natural lifestyle. Alright, so I'll link that website down below as well. Shop some products, go on there for some plant-based recipes, some all-natural face mask, hair mask, pretty much anything you need, affirmations, anything you need to elevate yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally the holistic, natural way. Alright, so if you guys are new to Tea Talk, welcome. This is just a safe and a sacred space where we sip our tea and we talk the real tea, which is how to heal thyself. And if you guys are returning, thank you so much for coming to Tea Talk. Thank you for watching, for listening, for reposting, liking, following, subscribing, in whatever way you are supporting Tea Talk. We truly appreciate all of it, because Tea Talk would not be growing and elevating without you guys. So definitely subscribe if you're on YouTube, follow on all podcast platforms, share, repost, and get the word around so we can get Tea Talk, more elevated. So yes, that was a mouthful. But we have a very special episode today in honor of Akoma Day, Akoma Week, also known as Valentine's Day. If you guys aren't familiar with what Akoma Day is, it is basically another version of Valentine's Day. Like I said, it's a version of Love Day. Akoma stands for the heart in the African language, and this honors, our ancestors, our rituals, our people, our country, our skin color, our melanin. It is a holiday that honors Black love, and it honors the partnership between the melanated man and the melanated woman coming together in connection and partnership, soulmating in love, and creating the abundance of the universe that, we have the power to do. So today we have a very special episode to celebrate the heart. All right, today's episode is all about love, all about the heart chakra, all about opening our hearts, expanding our hearts, getting rid of the walls that we've built around our hearts, cleansing our hearts, and just opening ourselves up to all of the love that we all truly desire to have in our lives. And when we see Valentine's Day, we see all of the roses, we see the flowers, we see all of the gifts, and all of just the love that everybody is receiving, and we ask ourselves, how can I receive all of those things? And the answer is giving it to ourselves. Okay, so today we have a very special extended episode today in honor of Akoma Day, also known as Valentine's Day, in honor of the heart. And yes, today we're going to be talking all about keeping our hearts open so that we can receive all of the love that we truly desire. So without further ado, let's get into this special extended episode in collaboration with the Nude Podcast. All right, are y'all ready? Let's get into it.
First, I'm going to start with the 3 deep breaths that I do, like before we do the prayer for Tea Talk. So yes, if y'all are new to Tea Talk, we do just a simple 3 deep breath meditation to get everything started, to calm our energy, ground ourselves, and just be open to the healing. So yeah, everybody close your eyes, get comfortable, relax the shoulders, unclench the jaw. Open the palms facing up and be open. And then a deep breath in through the nose. Hold, exhale. Another deep breath in through the nose. Hold, Exhale through the mouth. Last deep breath in through the nose. Hold out through the mouth. Thank you, Mother, Father, Creator. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this space. Thank you for this love. Thank you for this energy and just everything that has come together today. Thank you for the journey. Just the present moment, Spirit. We just open ourselves up and ask for guidance today. We ask for affirmations. We ask for healing and whatever it is that we need to channel, that whatever it is that we need to speak about and be vulnerable and express today. I pray that it brings healing to ourselves, that it brings love deeper into our hearts and allows us to love others and just life deeper overall. I want to give gratitude for everything that we are about to receive. Thank you, God. Okay, so yes, I'm so excited to just get into a conversation because even just like, I don't know, we was just talking about before we started recording how like this has been the resistance has been like a lot. Like there's been a lot of the opposing energy, like kind of getting in there, like making it hard. Like, okay, well, y'all gonna have to reschedule. You're gonna have to, I'm gonna throw a glitch there. Your camera's not gonna work every time you get on the call. Now, when y'all record it, even though you did a test call, now the Wi-Fi ain't gonna work. Now it's
Right.
cutting out. Now you gotta re-record it. So now what you gonna do? What you gotta edit? You gotta do all this stuff. And I'm like, dang, like, what is the resistance here? Like, why is there so many like little small things that's like, somebody that isn't super passionate or super dedicated would be like, whatever, I'm not even doing this anymore. Like, this isn't working out, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I was just sitting here thinking, I was like, you know what? This gotta be like a good episode. Like whether it gets a lot of views or whether it gets the right viewed
Mm-hmm.
by, the right person that can, make that move or do something for either one of us or both of us at the same time. I was like, that's a lesson there. Like wherever the resistance is, I think that is, it shows us like what I don't know, like where we should go towards
Yeah.
almost.
No, I agree. I agree because, like you said, when you were talking about, somebody who's not as passionate, literally, as you said that in my head, I was like, this was a test to see if we dedicated to this message.
Okay.
I said we
Okay.
gotta be dedicated because literally everything that could have happened with technological, mishaps has happened. And yet here we are, still smiling, still full of the energy, still ready to
Okay.
share. But no, somebody definitely needs to hear this. And I mean, we need to express it. I feel like pure love and healing the heart are topics that our community really needs. And so I'm thankful that we're not giving up on that because we doing that. We spreading the message. We gonna make some things happen. Okay. So I love that. Yeah.
Yes.
I love talking about love. I love talking about the heart. No matter how many
Me
times I done been
too.
damaged myself. Look, I'm like, up, love a girl for life. It is what it is.
Me too. Like I'm trying to tell you, like anybody who knows me knows like Valentine's Day, which now I celebrate what I like to celebrate, what I've learned to celebrate this year is called Akoma, and it means the heart in an African language, and it basically celebrates like Black love. It celebrates soul mating and the melanated woman and man coming together, and like just like our ancestors celebrates our rituals and our people, our country. So I was like, wow, I'm gonna get into that this year. I'm gonna educate myself more, and I'm gonna kind of be in that energy this year because holidays. It depends on how woke you want to be. Like if you choose to I'm gonna still celebrate this holiday knowing what the real meaning is behind it. That it may not have been the most honest intentions behind certain holidays, but
Mhm.
like Yeah, I'm getting off topic anyways, but you know what I mean. Like, so yeah, I'm celebrating like Akoma this year, and I just like anybody who knows me just knows like this is my favorite like time of just love. Like I just love love. I love talking about how we can love ourselves more, how we can love others more, and how like it just all coincides with like how we experience this life. Like the more love you got in you is literally like the better your life is gonna be. Like
Absolutely.
truly.
100% agree. Like, I am a very firm believer that love makes the world go round. Like, literally, we cannot be without it. We are going to suffer without love. And I think it's a wonderful time for people to tune in and learn about like healthy love. I don't think we have a whole lot of examples of that, or at least the examples are not, publicized or talked about as much as the negative examples or the unhealthy examples. So it's
Yeah.
like, let's get into it. Let's get into what it looks like to actually heal our hearts, to show up for this love that is available to us, right? Source Creator has made it available. It's just like, what's in the way of that? What beliefs do we have about ourselves and our worthiness of that love that's preventing us from experiencing it? For
Right.
real. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for me personally, I think that, and I talk about this in my book as well, there's actually a chapter and a whole like section about cleansing the heart and how we have to go through literally like you got to go in your heart space, and your heart space holds so many positive things and it holds a lot of hurt too.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody hurts your feelings and it holds our trauma there, the resentment, the hate that we may have towards others, like all sorts of things. So in order to receive within the heart chakra and receive the energy that we really want, we literally only attract like what's already there. So when we're holding, all the resentment, all the trauma, all of the unforgivingness that we
Yeah.
have towards other people, it's like it blocks it. It clouds literally that energy compacts and clouds the whole heart chakra. And it's like we can't, it blocks it.
Yeah.
We can't receive what there's not space for there.
Yeah.
Because when we hold in so much, I got this against this person did this to me, da, 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 like you hurt my feelings, you hurt my heart, you broke my heart. Whatever it is, we can get our hearts broken as kids. Like
Yes.
people
Yeah.
think breaking your heart is only in a romantic relationship. Y'all break up. No, you can get your heart broken from parents, from
Yeah.
siblings, friends, even just people. Like
Mhm.
the heart is just the space where we determine what love is for us. So when we experience like the opposite of that, it's like that's a heartbreak. And it's like when we hold that and we don't assess it and we don't go into it and we don't want to face it and we just try to bury it in like, nah, whatever, just silencing it, acting like, putting on this image, this persona, but really we're brokenhearted and we got that compacted, that energy just blocking. I think that's why everybody wants love,
Oh,
but
yes. I was just about to say that. I'm like, people be almost like afraid to admit that that's what they want. It's okay. Like, literally, I
okay,
believe that humans need love to survive. It is not a game.
girl, let me tell you something. I read something the other day that it was a video. I don't remember where I seen it at, but it was a video. It was a literal, like a Chinese experiment. They experimented on children, and it was children, I think, like 5 to something, and they fed these children, like a group of children. They fed them like all these healthy, good, abundant foods, but they didn't give them no attention. They didn't talk to them. They didn't give them no love. They left them by themselves, to fend for themselves, but they was feeding them amazing. Then they had another group of children, and they fed them a bunch of bad junk food, like snacks, whatever. But they hugged them. They honored them. They poured into their emotions. They loved them like hard. There was intimacy there.
Mhm.
Girl, the study showed that the kids that they fed all that good, they was malnutritioned or whatever how you say it, and the ones that they loved were perfectly healthy. I was like,
Wow, wow, wow,
wow,
wow. That's amazing. Yeah,
that's crazy.
like I need more people to know that love is a need. It's okay to desire it in whatever form you desire it in. It's a need, and it's okay to admit that. I think a lot of times we hold on to that resentment and all of that because we've been hurt before, right? And we like, oh, I don't want to experience pain again. But like, pain is a part of the life experience. If you really take it to a high, like spiritual level, the ability to even feel pain in any capacity is love, because you are here in this body, in your spiritual experience as well, having the ability to feel this spectrum of emotions and sensations.
Mhm.
That is beautiful. Now let's not deny the human experience of that, right? We don't like pain, we don't enjoy it, but we can always learn from it. We can always continue to open our hearts and know that pain is not the only thing out there. That's really what I try to do through my work, is like, yeah, things do hurt. People do break hearts. People do move funny, whatever way you want to put it, right? People be moving from their damaged place, but at the end of the day, there's so much possibility for good and for love and for pure things to continue to exist and thrive, that I don't want people to just stay focused on that.
Right.
Can we talk a little bit about like how to heal the heart? Like, I don't know if you feel like dropping a couple of gems from the book, or, we could kind of connect on that, but what are a couple steps we can take to heal the heart or to cleanse the heart?
Yes. So I do want to get into that. But I do want to like kind of go off of something that you said, like pain, we don't want to feel pain. Nobody wants to do that. But one thing that just helps me be in it more presently when I am experiencing pain is like, first of all, you can't avoid it no matter what. And the more you try to resist it, the more you're gonna attract it, because you're holding it, and then you're literally attracting like what you're afraid of. But like, what helps me be more present in it is knowing that the deeper I go, like into the depths of my heart, into the darkness of my heart, where I hold any pain I've ever experienced or what I'm experiencing right now, the deeper I go into the depths of it, like the higher I will rise. Like once I learn from whatever was there for me. And I'm like, okay. So that's how I be knowing, like when I just be having my moments or whatever I'm going through, I'd be like, okay, the deeper I go into this, the more I feel it and really like go deep, ask questions, ask why, what is this linked to? What is this trying to tell me about myself? Like what's really there? What's this really showing me? The more I go into it, and I'm like, okay, I know the more reward is on the other side. And so like for me, somebody, I'm like, I want to experience the deepest, most greatest depths of love ever that I can in this human experience. And what I have learned is like, okay, well, if I want that, then I'm like, hold on, wait. That means that I have to also experience a lot of pain. And
But
that's hard to do.
that just makes my heart smile though, because I know it's a lot of people who are avoiding those depths, right? Like it's a lot of people who don't want to go that deep within themselves or within their pain, but they still want the grand love that you describe,
Right.
And so the fact that you are here doing this work, kudos to you, because ain't nobody saying those deep places are not painful. Like they very much are. You might be crying for a couple of days, excruciating, all of that. But you know that this is helping you face yourself. It's helping you face your wounds, and it's helping you prepare for the heights, the love that you are seeking. So that's beautiful. Come on, somebody learn from that, please.
And when you get there, when you start getting the taste of that with it, you be like, okay, that wasn't that bad. Like if that's bad, okay, I'll do it. It's worth it. It's worth it.
It is.
But you did ask me like, what are some practices like that I go do just to like get into my heart? Honestly, to be in my heart space, that's a good question, because I believe that there's a lot of different practices I do. I do practices to manage my emotions. I do practices, to just help move emotions through my body and certain things. And at first I was going to talk about those, but I was like, those aren't really necessarily specifically heart practices for me. But for me, now that I'm like, that's a good question that you asked. Like, it has me really thinking, so I'm like, the heart space for me is like where the inner child resides, because it is the feminine and the masculine together, the inner father and inner mother that we have that comes together and creates this middle ground. It's literally the connection between our human and our spirit self, and there is our heart chakra, everything that we are, and like our inner child, our purest self lies. And it's crazy because I literally have like like that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the opposite, so it's hard for me.
That's so beautiful. Wow.
There's, the inner father, the inner mother, and then there's the heart space, which is the inner child who's looking up to both of them. Wow. So it's like, for me, I think things I do to get in my heart space are doing things that I did like as a kid, and doing things that would make me feel good as a kid, and also getting into those depths of like the heart, just like, because getting into the more lighthearted energy of the heart, like I said, I like to do things as a kid. Like I like to skate, like roller skate. Yes. Because I used to do that a lot when I was a kid, and it made me so happy. So I do that, and I used to dance, like just freestyle. Like I used to love dancing. So that gets me like in my heart space, really just like loving myself. Like, wow. It gets me in like the pure energy. But what gets me, I'm thinking like, what gets me into like the depths of my heart space, like the darker energy where I start like going into that healing. I think just thinking about just like why I am the way I am. I think thinking about like what created this version of me. Like, why do I have resistance towards that? Why do I feel a way about this? Why, I just look at different reflections and I pull it back to like my inner child. Like, what from my inner child put up a guard in my heart that made me, have that reaction toward this thing. Yeah. So I think that's how I go into it. I don't know. I just have like self-talks. I don't know if I have like practices very much so. I just go into like my inner child.
Yeah. I love that. I love that a lot. It's pretty much the same for me. I mean, like when you said dancing, I got hyped because that is my thing. Okay. And that's why actually when you said movement, I'm like, I mean, really it's all connected, like what stories are we telling ourselves that's affecting our heart? How do we get out of our head? By moving our bodies, right? Like, so it's really all connected. But yeah, I would say the same, like to get into that lighthearted space is definitely, for me, it's freestyle dancing. And it's also like freestyle, like spoken word or singing, even though I'm not a singer. But I will have a good time, okay? Just allowing myself to be heard by myself. Like that is a major healing practice for me. And similar to you, that dark space, like I kind of just like notice like if I'm triggered throughout the day, for example, well, where did that come from? Why did I respond this way to it? And then kind of reflecting on my journey and how I have the confidence I have now, or how I don't have certain levels of confidence, and just asking myself, why? And that's a real intimate conversation with self, right? Like I said, it could be kind of intimidating to some people. It's not the easiest thing to do because you start to discover like, oh, well, this is why I move the way that I do. And maybe I don't know any other way. So like, what now, right? But that's where the self-forgiveness and the true self-love happens as well. So, we make room for all of it.
Yes. And wow, I feel like I can answer this question a little bit better, like after hearing like, I don't know, like your perspective of it and just what a heart practice is for you. And I'm like, I'm feeling the energy. I'm like, okay, we both like to freestyle. Like, I know what you mean, like when you can't sing, but when you just sing,
Okay.
like just from a free space, it's a different feeling. Like,
Yes.
and I'm like, I think, and I was like, okay. And also for me, like painting, like not having an objective, not having a certain picture to paint, but just allowing it to be.
Yes.
I'm like, I think that's what it is. Like the inner child, like if you think when we was kids, being in your most innocent, just blooming inner child was just being free. Like when you sit down and draw as a kid, you're not thinking about how good like you about to draw. Like you're just drawing what you want to draw, you
Yeah.
know? When you're dancing, you're not thinking about, oh, I gotta do it like how she on the video, like, hold on, like you literally just like you're going. You're in
Exactly.
like a moving, flowing, universal match. Like you are in flow with God, like energy,
Yeah.
God body energy. Cause I think our inner child is like our most pure energy. Our hearts hold like that free that
Mm.
freeness that we had as a kid where we not worrying about like, oh, who's gonna hurt me? Who's gonna break my heart? I think the
Whew.
inner child is that energy before we got our first heartbreak, before we
Yeah.
started experiencing those pains and those traumas. Like how were we before that? Like
Yeah.
getting into that, you know? Like how
Yeah.
did I dress before I cared about who was looking at me or before Instagram? How did I act before I was afraid of somebody abusing me? Or how
Yeah.
did I move? How was I in this energy before I was afraid of people, being jealous of me or people treating me this way or people or I'm afraid of sexual trauma, you know?
Yeah.
How was I? How free was I? What energy was I? What was I able to create and receive from those creations before I experienced all the things that hardened my heart? I think that
Literally. Yeah.
is getting back into that energy is what like really frees and opens the heart. And I'm seeing like we ain't got that much. Okay, we
Yeah.
got 10 minutes.
Okay.
It's like, hold on, wait, we ain't quite there yet. But yeah, so I'm like, yeah. But I also for me, like reading my heart and kind of like seeing what's there for me is through like art and just doing
Mm.
all these creative forms. Like when I sit down and paint without, what thinking about what I'm going to paint, it literally shows me like what my heart is trying to tell me. It shows me the message from my heart.
Mm.
Like just like I'm
Mhm.
showing you like all these paintings, like this one right here was just a sit down, let me paint something. And it like it's a message there. And
Yeah.
it's like when I sing like how you said and just freestyling, I be telling myself stuff. I be like,
Yeah.
ain't that good, but the message is there, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it so
Mhm.
much. Like basically what you're saying is it's that space of non-judgment before anything has happened to us to skew our
Mm.
view of the world and ourselves. That's get into that lighthearted energy before you was worried about any level of judgment. Get into that. Get
Yep.
into that.
Hmm.
Because
And then
it
it's
sets you
like
free.
it will. And I think people will respond to that and be like, okay, well, it's not that easy to just get back into that energy, you know? But
Okay.
then
Yeah.
that's where the work comes from because it's like now you gotta once you're trying to get back into that energy, you're gonna show yourself what the resistance is there that's preventing it. So say you loved dressing as a kid, and you want to get back into that, but you got a resistance. Okay, now you got to look at what happened as a kid or growing up that gave you resistance towards dressing up. What
Yep.
is it? What caused that? Get into that, figure out what it is, feel it, heal it, let it go, and start reaffirming, start creating new habits and new, you know, responses to that and
Yeah.
new affirmations to self. Like,
Yeah.
actually, I'm not afraid of people over sexualizing me. So I'm gonna go back to dressing up. It's about going into the details of it and going into asking yourself why. I think
Mhm.
those are what involves healing the heart. Like just like kind of how we was talking about earlier, we can't experience those great depths of love and all that stuff that we want. We want all the flowers and we want this and we want the most realest version of love. We want the fairy tale.
Yeah.
We want all of that, but we're not willing to actually go through and learn from, because that's different. Going through and learning from like all of those experiences, because we all go through it, but a lot of us want to just, act like it didn't happen. We want to hate people that, F this person, I forget about them, I can delete them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get it. Yeah, I get how that protects us for a while, but it don't for a long time. You got to think about the long term and what you really, really want for your life experience. This is literally the work I do with my coaching sessions. I'm like, how do we return back to, the version of you who felt free, who felt bold and encouraged to love? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I understand why it's hard. Like, literally, when we I can't remember where I read this at, but like when our heart is broken, that is perceived as a physical pain, essentially. Like it is felt. Okay. So I get when we put these walls up and be like, okay, no, I don't want to go through that again. But just think about what you're keeping out as well when you don't open up no more. Think about what
because
you're
a closed that's a good one. That's a good one, because a closed heart, you can't give it and you can't receive it. If you closing it, you're blocking it from coming in as well. So it's like the only way to experience that is to open back up the heart. And opening back up the heart involves like often letting it break.
Yeah, being vulnerable, being open to share and connect with people. And it's like, that don't mean just because you are trying to open your heart up, that don't mean, okay, bring on all the damage. That don't mean you welcoming it, right? You, like you said, learn your lessons, right? Learn how you showed up and learn about how you stayed in places that, didn't value you, for example. That's for me, right? I could sit here and be like, oh, I'm so mad at him because he didn't do this. But like, you stayed and you thought you deserved that. So let's deal with that, because you can't control other people, but let's deal with that so that you can welcome in the love that you really say that you want. You say you want something, right? So let's get your actions in alignment with that. Let's get your heart space in alignment with that. If you still thinking, oh, I don't deserve it and I got to fight for love and I got to earn it and I got to be perfect, it ain't going to work. It ain't going to work. Speaking from experience. So, had to put myself out there.
We all gotta go through it in order to talk about this. And it's like, both of us, in order to be here talking about this from a higher perspective and being able to have this awareness and knowing these things, knowing these practices, it is only because we had to go through it. Like, we had to be there and we had to, learn from those things. And it's like, I think that's where, like you said, we got to go back into who we was when we experienced those heartbreaks, and we have to let go. Because once we let those experiences, that trauma, that hurt, that resentment, that unforgivingness, once we let it pile up, that's what blocks our hearts. And so opening back up is just letting go and practicing like forgiveness, practicing just like, why do I have this towards this person? Why am I holding that? And finding out that it's really a reflection of yourself. It's finding out, damn, I'm really holding unforgivingness toward myself. I'm really upset with myself that I allowed this to happen or that I attracted that. So it's also, and I think that's really the hardest part, like going back into the version of yourself that you were when those things happen, and going into, forgiving self and just allowing things to pass through and just not holding it, but just letting it be like, it was there for a reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember when people used to say, like, look at your patterns. And at the time I didn't understand that. But my more recent situation in Split, it really caused me to like look at every single situation. I'm like, nah, Tyler, you gonna get it this time.
Yes.
you gonna get it. And I said, what is the common thread? And the common thread ended up being that abandonment wound. And I said, dang it. But it is what it is.
Okay.
We can show love to that inner child, that first heartbreak moment, and say, oh, you really needed somebody, didn't you? You really did. It's okay. It's all right.
Yes.
I love you anyway, and I'm gonna stick with you until we work through this, or through even after we work through this, because I want you to see your new version of yourself. But yeah, like hold that version of you with love and be like, okay, you didn't get what you needed back then. Here's what you need now, and let's do this. Let's do this.
Okay. You know what that does too? Like it helps us love ourselves deeper because we start forgiving who we were and what we experienced in our decisions that we made. We start loving ourselves deeper because we have more compassion. And it also that reflects and allows us to forgive other people. Cause it's like, dang, if I was only doing that because I was hurt and this happened to me, then that means everybody else is only doing all of this to me because they are hurt also. Because they're hurt just like me. On the other side, on the inside of anybody, the darkest person who's doing the most hurt is the most broken inner child.
Absolutely.
Literally. Like the people who do the worst have been hurt the worst. And it's because they are only being able to project what they haven't dealt with. And that's why doing this hard work is so important, because we can become what we experienced.
Absolutely.
If we don't. One thing I do want to kind of dive into, since like when you said you also go by like Ty the heart softener. I don't know, I kind of got a little bit of like, we should talk about the heart, like
of course.
opens the heart. So one thing that has been like a lesson for me lately, which honestly a reoccurring lesson, because I've learned this lesson a while ago, but you know, things always come back. We don't really talk about, just as a society, how forgiveness and being able to forgive self, forgive others for what they've done to us, forgive, like I said, ourselves for the things that we've done, the mistakes that we've made, the things that we have allowed ourselves to go through. We don't talk about how important forgiveness is. And we think forgiveness is like, oh, just, you know, say you're sorry and accept it and move on. But forgiveness, one thing that has been coming up heavy for me is like forgiveness is really, it's for self. Like it's really being able to let go of the energy that we're holding on to from that certain situation. So let's say we're going back to childhood and somebody from our childhood abandoned us. Somebody who was a really important figure in our lives, and let's say they abandoned us for some things that had nothing to do with us. They had their own situation going on, but they didn't know what to do at that moment but to abandon us. So if we grew up from childhood to now holding this anger and this subconscious resentment and like, oh, this person left me, and constantly blaming things that happen in our lives, oh, because this person left me, this person abandoned me, da, 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 da. If we constantly hold on to that anger towards that person, that energy towards that whole situation, and not forgiving, then we will continuously like attract the same thing because we're still holding that energy. Like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's like this visual that comes to mind. I can't remember what it's from, but it's like holding hands with the person who hurt you, right? Or who kind of tainted your heart in a way. And it's like you think by not forgiving that you have control over the situation because you're clinging to it. But what's happening is like I wish I could like bring up the imagery, but it's like a color. Like it's literally draining you. It's literally draining your color. It's draining your light because you are clinging to this certain type of energy. And it is taking you away from, you know, the lightheartedness, the colorful energy. When you could be welcoming in that lighthearted energy, instead you are essentially clinging to this dark, heavy energy. Because you think by withholding forgiveness that you are holding someone else accountable. But what ends up happening is you now are navigating life through a whole different lens. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like, I get it. I get the difficulty that comes with needing to forgive somebody who harmed you. But I think the biggest thing to remember is that they made a choice to do what they did. Was it a good choice? Maybe not, but like they made the choice to do what they did. That's a choice they have to live with. That's a choice that came from their beliefs about themselves and their place in life. And so to make sure that you are not essentially infected with this same way of thinking, forgiveness frees you from that, you know, like it frees you from having to say, this story defines how I exist in the world. Yes, it has an effect on you for sure. We can acknowledge that, we can work through it, but I don't have to identify with it to the point where I'm looking at the rest of my life as, oh, I just got to make sure I don't have that experience again. I just got to make sure I run away from that. I avoid that. Here's the thing. We ain't never going to avoid pain. It's a part of the ups and downs of life, right? But I think the forgiveness opens up our hearts to more than just pain. You know what I'm saying? Like instead of constantly being afraid or constantly being frustrated or whatever it is, resentment eats at everybody. Like if you holding on to resentment, that is not just an obstacle to your relationship with that person. That's an obstacle to your relationship with yourself. Right? Because you resentful because I stayed too long, or I clinged and I shouldn't have, or whatever. I think it's clung. I clung and I shouldn't have, whatever. But like at the end of the day, we all have a choice. That forgiveness does not have to mean that you completely forget what they've done or that you let them back into your life. It means that you know that what they did and who they are does not have to be what you are in the moment. You know?
Yeah, and I like how you said just like not going through life identifying, making your identity out of what you went through in your childhood, not letting your trauma identify you. Because like one thing that you said, you was like going through life trying to push that away, run from it, being afraid of like, oh, I can't go through that again, I can't experience that again, like I have to avoid this at all costs. That actually causes like the opposite effect of what we're really trying to do. So you want to run from this, you don't want to experience it, you don't want to face it because you don't want to feel that again. But the reality is that from not forgiving it and trying to suppress it and ignore it and run from it, put it behind you, you are literally only setting yourself up for it to happen again. Because we attract what we fear. Like the law of the universe is like you attract what is going on, the vibration that you are in. So a lot of people don't realize by suppressing things and by trying to put it to the side, act like things never happened and trying to avoid it, you are still carrying that energy inside of you, within you. It's still in your aura.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you're going to attract everything that you are afraid of in the universe, because we're not supposed to go through life just being afraid of certain things and avoiding those things forever. We have certain fears for a reason, because those fears, facing them is the key to unlocking a new version of self, an elevated version of self. So it's like we want to push it to the side, run from it, run from it, run from it. But really, the only way to release that and actually prevent it from happening again is to face that fear, to go into that darkness, into that depth, into that trauma, and ask yourself, what happened? How did it make me feel? Sit there, feel that shit. How did this make me feel? Who did this to me? And then the hard part is when we're forgiving somebody, and people can ask like, okay, what if somebody did like such a terrible thing? And we can get into some deep topics. We can talk about, because a lot of Black women go through this. So many Black women go through sexual trauma as a child. That shit is extremely hard to forgive somebody, because you're thinking like, how could you do this to somebody? How could you be in such a low place where you actually committed an act that's just seems so like disgusting? But then it's like forgiveness is being able to sit there in that energy and think, okay, why did this happen to me? Going back into generational trauma. Why did this happen to me? Did this happen to my mother, my grandmother, and the women before me? Why did this happen? Okay, why did I attract it? Okay, who was it? Who did it? And then you start to look at that person. And forgiveness, when the ability to forgive comes in, when you look at the person who did it to you and you realize that they were wounded and hurt people. And all it was just that same darkness, that same energy that they never released, they never forgave, they tried to run from, and it subconsciously conjured up in their own energy, their own life, and they passed it on to somebody else.
Yeah.
So, okay, this person did this. It wasn't personal. It had nothing to do with me. It was only because that person was in so much deep pain they had to pass it to somebody else. And you got to think, am I going to carry this? Am I going to hold this and pass it to somebody else? Or is this going to end with me by forgiving and knowing I deserved it? Or, it has none of that. It's literally because that person was hurt. Now, I say, oh, I'm going to forgive them and that's just it. No, 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 no. Forgiving comes in layers on layers on layers. You got to keep coming back to it over and over again. You're going to find a deeper layer every time, but you have to keep on releasing. It's like an onion. You have to keep on releasing those layers to get to the core of it, the center of it, the source. Absolutely. And when you get to that source, it's like that's where the heart is, and you're able to. It's like peeling off those layers and constantly going back and forgiving each and every time. Ooh, hold on. Before I go into this, I heard a quote that said, every time you remember what they did, forgive again. Yeah. Because in forgiveness, like I said, it ain't just no one time, like, oh, I forgive you, it's okay, now I'm over it. No. Yeah. You're going to have memories that bring you back to that current trauma, that energy continuously. And it's like every time you got to take control of your thoughts and like not allow yourself to like go down that tunnel again where you start feeling like, oh my God, I'm just this, and start feeling bad for yourself and going into that dark energy. It's like when you go there again, you got to decide, I'm forgiving, I'm releasing. Yeah. They did this because of this, and I'm forgiving myself for accepting that. I'm forgiving myself for not being able to protect myself, like all of that. Because a lot of it has to do with forgiving self. A lot of reasons why we can't forgive somebody else has a lot to do with not being able to forgive ourselves, because it's a reflection of us. Like what they did is a reflection of us, a wound that we have inside. So it's like we not only do we have to look at that person, where were they hurt at, what was going on with them, forgiving them, knowing it's not personal, but then you got to go back into self and be like, okay, why did I accept that at the time? Why was I not protected? Yeah. What,
That's crucial. That's crucial. I think sometimes people think that forgiveness means we say that what they did is okay. And it's like, no, it's not. But again, kind of going into that space and exploring, like, why did I allow this to happen for as long as it did? Or, what was I believing about myself to be true to where I gave this experience so much of my energy, right? It's not your fault that it happens, but the meaning that you assign to it is definitely your responsibility. And I think that's where forgiveness can be such a powerful tool, because it's like when you choose to forgive that person, you also forgive the version of you that you were at that moment, Mm-hmm. So it's tough, but like you said, it's layers to it. Like to this day, I can be a little vulnerable. Like I was in a relationship last year and it ended really badly. I didn't get the clarity I wanted. There was all this stuff happening. And to this day, I have moments that I remember certain things that this person said or this person did. And it brings a small moment of shame, because it's like, dang, why did I believe you when you said that? Or dang, like, why did I cling to you for so long? Or dang, like, why I didn't just let go the first time? All these things, right? Mm-hmm. But I take a deep breath in that moment. And I say, you know what? Tyler from in that relationship, she did her best. She did her best. She loved with her heart open, and maybe she stayed a little too long, but I see her and I forgive her. And that person, he was so damaged. He was so hurt. He was so refusing to look within himself that's what he brought to the table. And that's fine. That's what it was. But we get to move forward and know that just because that happened to me then, that does not mean I'm unworthy now. I wasn't unworthy then, honestly, but it just takes that moment to sit with yourself with it. And then every time something comes up, it's like, yeah, okay, I know what my fears want to tell me. Especially when you brought up abandonment, I got chills, because I was like, that's my wound, baby. That's my wound, But like, you brought that up and I'm like, yeah, like if you already have this idea that your kind of disposable or easy to let go of. Any type of future experience that you have that fuels that belief, it's going to be hard for you to work through, but it's not impossible. You know, you have to, that's kind of why these situations come up, so you can deal with the core wound. Me and his relationship, it wasn't about me and him. It was actually about my mother wound initially. Like it was actually about, you know, how I felt about him in general, right? It was multiple things tied into it, but it was all core wounding that I had to face. And he brought that to light for me. So I'm thankful, you know, I'm definitely thankful. But yeah.
So y'all, that was, you know, our conversation about just the heart and all about opening the heart, different practices you can do, and really like the journey of what healing the heart really looks like. Because I think just like we were just the whole thing that we was talking about, we portray love as just this grand ultimate thing, which it very much so is.
Okay.
It very much so is all that we believe it is.
Yeah.
These fairy tales very much so are possibilities.
Yeah.
It's just that we don't talk about the other side of it. We don't talk about what love really entails. And I think that is why a lot of relationships fail, and not even just romantic relationships. I think that's why a lot of friendships fail, a lot of, you know, connections we have with family, and just also romantic relationships as well. I think that's why a lot of us give up on people so easily, because we aren't willing to go into the heart. We aren't willing to actually be in our heart chakra, which is both of those energies. We only want to go in there and get the lighthearted shit.
Okay.
That's all
yeah.
That's all we want. But once it start getting to the nitty gritty, like, okay, now you got to do that work if you want the other side. Once we start seeing that resistance and those arguments that happen and the ways people hurt us, that's just reflecting the hurt that we already have there. Once we don't want to see that, we don't want to feel that, and we get triggered by what is literally what pain is already in our hearts, and we want to avoid, that's when we break up. That's when we distance. That's when we disconnect. Like, oh, you know, I hate this person. Da, 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 da. And that's how we continue the same process over and over again. So it's like, I think this is why these conversations are so important, because it's really the key, and it's really the truth about what love really is. Love is both the dark and, dang, it's opposite. So you messing me up. But it's dark and the light energy. That's what love is. It's all of it.
It is. It is. I think it's easier for people to kind of like cut things off and end situations instead of look at both of these things. And I don't say that with judgment. I say it with love, because I want y'all to make some different choices. And because I want you to know it's safe to explore both sides of this, so that you can heal. You deserve it. Don't you deserve the best love that life has to offer? Yes. It starts here. Love starts here. Look, come on. Get her book, y'all.
Hey, read my book, y'all. Love starts here.
For real.
Get it real quick.
That was aligned, okay?
Okay, this is like my manifestation version, so I got it written all over. But get my book, y'all. Yeah, like, I'm just so glad we had this conversation. I'm so glad that we was able to come together and bring not just my energy, but just having the power of two come together, two healers, two, you know, heart softeners,
Okay.
two love influencers coming together and just like having a real conversation about what it really is and how we can attract that into our lives. So I'm grateful. This was healing for me. I'm grateful just to be, you know, in the same space, same energy, and just being able to converse and just have this conversation. So I really hope this is healing for y'all. I know it is. I know it is for who needed to hear it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Whoever needed to hear this is going to hear it, and it might be the beginning of somebody saving, you know?
Come on.
And that is like what I love about just this work. It's like it's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. It's beautiful, y'all. We can have fun with it. We might cry with it. It's all right.
Mhm.
But it's beautiful and necessary. And you will see if you keep on, stay on the path, keep hope alive,
Yes.
all that. This has been great. Thank you so much for offering space for me on your platform. It means a lot. I love to see you shine. So thank you. Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you. Yeah, plug yourself, girl. Tell us where we can get some coaching sessions from you. Where can we listen to your podcast? Where
Okay.
can we find more about Miss Tyler Riley, the heart softener? Ty, the heart softener.
Yes. So, yeah, I do have a podcast. It's called the Nude Podcast. You can find it on Apple Music. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It's on Anchor. It's on pretty much all like podcast streaming platforms. If you have any questions, just hit me up. But I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter at Ty the Wordsmith and at the Nude Pod. So if you are looking for updates, they will be there. And let's see, I have a community launching in the spring. It's called Mind Your Magic. It's for anybody who is ready to just get out of their own way, pretty much. I know sometimes it's easy to like get the general concept of making change and transformation, but it's hard to apply. So it's me bringing people together who have similar obstacles, similar interests, who are ready to truly make change happen in their lives and in their hearts, of course. So that's coming. And then, yeah, I got some merch coming soon for my lovers who are ready to actually like, wear the love drip. Okay.
Okay.
I got some things coming, so I'm very excited about that. But yeah, this has been great, y'all. Stay connected with me at Ty the Wordsmith at the Nude Pod, and I cannot wait to connect with y'all.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming and just speaking with us. And this was a super dope episode. So we're gonna end it here, y'all, and just wish y'all a happy Akoma Day, aka Valentine's Day, aka Love Day, and just wish y'all healing. So
Yes, come on. Thank you so much.
peace.
All right, guys, that wraps up our conversation about the heart and love and, just how we keep our hearts expanded and open and keep our vibration high and how we attract all the things that we want on Valentine's, Akoma Day, and all those things. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys truly felt and received deep healing messages that allow you to just be in a higher vibration today, that allow you to love others deeper today, to love yourself deeper today, to love life deeper today, because it is Love Day, it is Akoma Day. Today is the day of the heart. It is Valentine's Day. Whatever way you celebrate this week, this day, it is all about the heart chakra. It is all about love and learning how to soften and open ourselves up to truly receiving and giving out the love that we truly deserve and desire. So thank you guys so much for watching this special extended episode. It was beautiful. It was an amazing experience to record. Thank you so much for our guest, Ty the Heart Softener, aka Tyler Riley, aka Ty the Wordsmith. It was a beautiful conversation. So yeah, if you guys want to be a special guest on TTALK, I will link our guest form down below. You can fill that out for a chance to be featured on a TTALK, a future TTALK with me, where we can have just a dope conversation and, bring both of our perspectives into one space and show each other how we can agree to disagree, and we can help expand the minds of each other through conversation, and how our conversation can expand the minds of others and open up the minds of others. So yes, if you're interested in being a guest, I'll link that down below. But without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up. It was beautiful, like I said, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next TikTok.